To create and manage your events, you can click on the calendar. The calendar will show you an overview of all of your events throughout the month. You can also change this view to a weekly or a daily view. In general, the colors represent the completion of booked staff members for each event. So every time you create an event, you can also specify how many staff members you would need for that event. And the idea of the colors is to show you how many booked staff members you have relative to the amount that you need. So for example, the red will show 0 completion, meaning 0 people have been booked. And here specifically, you can see that you've needed 5 people. The yellow will represent anywhere in between 100% and 0%. So for example, here you needed 5 and only 2 were booked. And of course, the green will show 100%, and here you needed 5 and you've booked 5 members. So to create an event, I can simply click on this blue sign right here, and I can specify some information. So I'll put in today's date. Location name, I'll start typing a location, and it will give me a list of all the locations that I have predefined in my group. So let's say Barclays Center. And event type I can also choose. Let's say it's a conference. When I click show more options, it will give me to define more options for the event itself, like uniform. And event name, I can also type here an event name, which will override the location name, meaning if I don't put anything here, it's optional. If I don't put anything in here, then the location name will be the event name. I can also choose a client and a client on-site contact. I can also put in here general comments for the event. I can select a staff meeting spot and a site contact, their name and their phone number I can put here. This is information that's only visible to admins. So for example, I can put in here the amount of guests that I'm having for this event, the amount of guests that I'm expecting to have, some notes for myself, and I can also select a color. So if you don't like the arrangement that we've set for you, which is the completion colors, the red, green, and yellow, then you can turn that off in the settings, and you can define different colors for any type of event. Color your events however you'd like. Next, I'll define a shift. So I'm going to choose 10 o'clock in the morning until 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And for every shift that I define, I can also select what kind of positions I want to allow to be able to apply for this specific shift. So I can say that this shift is just for assistants, and I need 2 of them. And I can add a shift with the same time, and I'll say that I need, let's say, 3 types of bartender A. I can also define the hourly rate or shift flat rate for this specific shift, and those rates will override any rates that are specified in these users' profiles that work on this shift. The same goes for client rate. So once I'm done with this, I can go ahead and click next. And here, this is the next step, which is to select the staff members that I want to publish this event to. So before I selected the position assistant and bartender. So here it's going to give me all of my staff members that either have one position or the other. So all of these staff members are either an assistant or a bartender A or both. So the next step I can do is I can check availability, which will send a push notification to all of these staff members. Now, if I don't want a specific member to receive this, I can just uncheck them. Or if I want only one specific person, I can uncheck all and select that specific person. Keeping all checked, I'll go ahead and check availability. And now it's sent them a notification letting them know that a new event has been created and they can apply for it. And it's right here, Barclays Center. So once I click on it, I get to the event page. The event page will be your main working area. As you can see at the top, you have all the event details, such as the name, location, and date. Here in the middle, you have 3 columns: available, selected, and booked. The idea here is that once you publish your event, like we just did, your staff have the ability to apply for the shift through the app. Anyone that does so will come up in the available column like this. These 4 staff members have applied to this event through the app. And I can see that Isabel and Omri have applied to the first shift, and Oz and Tori have applied to the second shift. The next step would be to move them from the available column to the selected column, and I can do all 4 staff members by clicking on this button right here, or I can select individuals by clicking on the green sign next to their name, like this. Now, the selected column is a playground section for you to work on where you can move staff members between shifts and manually add staff, like this. So for example, over here, I can see that I have 2 staff members, but I need actually 3. So I'll manually add somebody. And let's say I wanted to move Omri to this shift and I wanted to move Angela to this shift. So what I can do is I can click on this arrow right here and I can select the shift that I'd like to move them to. Once you're happy with your list and how it looks, you can click here to book them and move them to the booked column. Now they received a notification that they have been booked and they need to confirm their arrival to the shift. It's important to note that with Ubeya, there are a few scheduling flows that you can work with. The one that I just mentioned is one way to do it. Another option is to just add all of them manually, like I showed you before. In order to do it like this, when you create your event, make sure to not publish it to any of the staff members and simply add it to your calendar. Once you've added it into your calendar and clicked on it, you get to the event page and then you can manually add everybody by clicking on this button like I just showed you before. Once you have your team all set up, you can assign the captains on site by simply clicking on the red C button next to their name like this. So let's say Angela is going to be the captain for this shift, and I'd like to set Oz as the captain for this shift. This will allow them to clock booked staff members in and out of the shift, rate and comment on their performance, and comment on the event itself and how it went. All that is done through the app. Booked employees will receive a reminder a few hours before the event. You can also choose how many hours before you'd like them to receive this reminder. And they're also going to be able to clock in and out with the optional geofence GPS. Every time you create an event, there's an event chat that's automatically created for you here. All booked staff have access to this chat through the app, and so do admins, of course. Here is where you can stop the registration. This will remove the post from the app, and the staff members won't be able to see this, and they won't be able to apply for the event. Once you do this, you can also send out a message to the staff members that have applied but haven't been booked to the event itself. And you can also alter this message however you'd like. In the actions, you can publish to a new audience, print the booked staff list, and more. Selecting the feed option will bring you to the feed specific to the event. Feed is where you can send a broadcast message, question, or form. You can also attach images, videos, and files to this message if needed. Once the event is over, you can go into the event's payroll by going back to the event page and clicking on this green $sign right here. Here you can see an overview of how much money this event cost you. Here you can see a list of all the staff members that have worked this shift and their hours. If they didn't clock in and out, like here for example, you can also click on the advanced option and autofill the empty shift times to the shift times that you specified when you created the shift. You can also alter specific staff's times by clicking on the time that they left or entered the shift and defining whatever time you like. You can also add break times, tips, shift flat rate, and notes. Down here, you can see where everyone clocked in from relative to where the event took place. Once they've clocked in, you would be able to see all of their names around the location. Once you're happy with how the payroll is calculated, you can click on Approve Hours and Close Events. This will move it to the archived calendar here. And input the numbers in the home page.